Have you ever had a friend who said, hey, I've got this great idea, I've got this great plan, we should do it this way? And you think to yourself, that's a good way to do that, but I've got a better way. I've got a more perfect way to do it. Have you ever thought that way? Oh, I definitely have. I've definitely thought that way many times before. And sometimes my plan is better, but oftentimes my plan is not quite as good because I didn't think it through entirely. Well, today we're going to read a story about Adam and Eve, the very first humans on earth, and how they were told by God, hey, you can do all things except for this one thing. And how they thought, well, you know what, God, that sounds really good, but I have a better idea. I have a better plan. And we're going to see how that worked out for them today. So what I want you to do right now is to pause the video, read this story, and answer these few questions. And when you're done, press play. But I want you to see what God asked them to do, and then what their plan was, and how it worked out for them. All right, pause the video, and when you're done, press play, and we'll continue. Okay, so God created Adam and Eve, and they had been told, hey, listen, this whole land is yours, and you can do whatever you want. God told them this, so you can do whatever you want and eat whatever you want, except this one thing. Don't eat this one fruit that's on this one particular tree. And so they lived their life like that for a while until they were tricked, I think. I really believe they were tricked to think that their way could be better than God's way. I mean, after all, I was created by God, but sometimes I think I'm better than God, right? Don't we all think that our plans are better than God's plans sometimes? I know I do. Well, Adam and Eve thought their plan was better than God's plan as well, and they decided to eat the fruit. And how did that work out for them? Hey, it didn't work out very well for them at all. In fact, they were kicked out of that land, and they had to really go through a really hard time because it wasn't God's original plan. Had they stuck to God's original plan, things could have worked out a lot differently, and it could have been a lot better for them. But they had to learn the lesson the hard way, in the same way like we do all the time. And so what's the point of this story? What's the bottom line of this story? Well, the bottom line is this. Trust and obey even when you think your way is better. God told them to obey him and to trust him. Just trust him. He didn't have to give them all the details of why not to eat of this one particular food. He just said, trust and obey me. And they didn't. Well, and sometimes we feel like we can do things better our own way, and we don't trust God, and we don't obey God. Well, my encouragement for you today is to trust and obey God even when you don't know the whole story, even when you don't know the whole plan. Trust and obey and see where God leads you, because I guarantee you this, when I've trusted and obeyed God, the plans have worked out a lot better than if I had done it on my own. So I would encourage you to trust and obey even when you don't know all the details. And if you've got stories to kind of illustrate this and say, yeah, I can relate to this story, Tom, hey, share it in the comment section below. I would love to hear your story on this. All right, well, as we wrap up, I want to go over the memory verse we've been looking at. 2 John 6. The way we sow our love is to obey God's commands. He commands you to lead a life of love. That's what you've heard from the very beginning. Lead a life of love. Lead a life of love and trust in God and see where he leads you today. All right, everyone. Well, I hope you enjoyed this story. I hope it taught you something. Again, as you have stories you can relate to it, share it in the comment section below. Otherwise, I'll see you next week with a whole new story. Have a great week, everyone.